Hi everyone, welcome to Poetry and Talk. Poetry and Talk is a new online interviewing platform for poets to share their poetry, background, and inspiration. Thank you so much for watching today. We have a new guest poet to introduce you to. Before we meet our guest poet for today, Poetry and Talk would like to thank all the poets that have come on board with us for poet interviews. We've really enjoyed getting to know your poetry and your poetic journey. So again, thank you for coming on board with us. And we'd like to welcome new poets who would also like to be interviewed on Poetry and Talk to come on board as well. You can reach us at poetryandtalk@gmail.com and we'll get back to you with scheduling and information. Please stay in touch with us on our Facebook page, Poetry and Talk, and watch some of the videos uploaded and be on the lookout for new poet interviews uploaded as well. We appreciate your support. Please like and share. I'm Leslie Sue, the host for Poetry and Talk. Thank you again for watching. And I'd like to welcome our guest poet for today, Sakshi. Hi, Sakshi, how are you?
I'm good, Leslie. How are you?
Good, good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get started and just dive right in. We're so excited to have you and to find out about your poetry and all that you'd like to share. So as customary, if you could give us a brief introduction to a poem and then read that for us, please.
Yeah. I have something written down for a really long time that I wanted to share as my first poem when I get digital. And I'm really glad I'm sharing it here with you and to all the viewers right now watching. This is something I believe everyone can relate to, as at one point or the other, they might be struggling or they might be looking for something else or thinking, why am I not doing this yet? I know I can, but why am I not? So this is a little bit more personalized to me, but I am pretty sure that you all of you can relate to and hopefully like it as well. So I'm gonna just start right away. I have my writings. I do have the courage. I was not totally sure what I wanted more. To stand up for myself, to believe that I can. The baggage which I held, it's time that it fell. I just need the push, my withholdings to shush. I know I have the talent to be able to interpret. Then why am I not sure what I wanted more? Maybe I just need to stop digging my past. I need to move on, just that. The support I have never received, the happy peace which I never conceived. I can still work on it. It's never too late to perceive. When I put it that way, maybe now I can stay.
It's beautiful. I love the introspective aspect of that. Share with us what's that about, if you would, Sakshi, please.
Yep. This is about my writings. I always wanted to start myself and create a digital platform of my poetry where I can read it. Sometimes, besides people just generally reading the book, they could more connect it and they could understand it in different views when they hear it out on videos or even the ebooks, the voice audiobooks are so popular now. So I always wanted to start. I have been on many stages, recited many poetries in competitions, in my school platforms, and I have been told that I do have a good voice command over it, and I like to read it out. So this is about that I could not start it yet. I know, like, people did tell me, like, oh, you don't have to start it. There are many people already. What are you gonna, you're just gonna be an additional YouTuber with so many millions of views already, and you're not gonna get so much support. And I was like, I don't need to have million followers right away. I just want to be able to relate to people and connect to people. Sometimes when you're working on a journey for something for yourself, when you're too scared to come out, when you're not sure if you could do it, you just need that one inspiration, one motivation which could actually push you towards what you want to do. And that can come from anywhere. And someone you know, someone you don't know a complete stranger totally, who could just make you smile and make you feel better about yourself, at those moments you actually improve, you actually feel better, you actually feel happy. And I think I could relate, and I could pen down things which people can relate, that you're not alone. Sometimes if you cannot get help, sometimes you don't, even if you don't get the answers what you're looking for, if you know that there's someone else going through the same situation, going through the same emotional standards, emotional phase, you feel comforted somehow.
Mhm.
So I think I my writings are about that. It could be happy, it could be sad, it's about friendship, it's about love, it's about journey, it's about the feelings we just think but we don't express much.
Mhm. Mhm. It seems like, and let me know if this is correct, Sakshi, that it seems like you've had a really strong desire of your heart to express your poetry, and it seems more to express it verbally, to share it as your voice with your voice.
Yes.
Okay, and that there's been a little bit of inner turmoil with some doubts and concerns, worries, a little bit of fear, and it's all about overcoming that, and actually irrespective of any noise that you're getting from someone else or internally, that you go ahead and you pursue your dream. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, so share with us a little bit more about your poetic journey along this topic and with some of the subject matter that interests you. So please go ahead and share with us.
I used to write since I was a little kid. I used to love making personalized handmade greetings and like write something on which what you feel for the person I've been giving my greeting card to. So I never actually thought that I would be able to express it in a way that everyone would be able to relate than just what I personally feel. So I've always been an extrovert. So I never had the problem of expressing what I feel, like in direct, straight words. But sometimes there are feelings that you actually don't say, or you actually cannot put words onto it. You just feel it. And and I have written some things like that. I'll be releasing my book. It's just in the last phase of editing, proofreading, and checks. It's hopefully it should be coming out in January, and once I'm done with proofreading, I'm going to give it for copyrights and release it right away. So I think in that book I have a collection of things which you could just relate to directly, and you could just keep on reading it, smile, think about it, go with the emotional roller coaster.
Mhm.
And my what I write, I believe it's not just about something you write, something you could read and just go on. It's something which you can relate to, something which tells you, hey, you're not alone. You're not alone in the journey. If even there is no physical presence around you, but emotionally, you're not alone. You could do it. We could do it together.
Mhm.
That's about that. And I don't have a particular style in which I write. My most things which could relate me and makes me write are emotions. Emotions are various forms. You just think about it, like even when I'm talking to you, you have an emotion inside of you. So I write all that. It just need not be my emotions. If I see something, if someone tells me anything, I even pen down things for them which are hard to say or hard to express.
Mhm.
So in my journey I have written many things and gifted to them without having any copyright or without any charges, only to my close ones. But sooner or later my website is also in construction, so once it's ready I would even add little bit sections over there which could help you to reach me out and express your feelings to someone, and you can gift it to them.
Mhm.
So I'm even working on that.
Mhm. That's really beautiful. I love this. So it's basically, well, first just to identify that you feel like you're very extroverted, you're very social. but at the same time, you've kind of recognized there's certain emotions that you're even not comfortable expressing, and you've observed that with others. So poetry is this vehicle of expressing these emotions that are not always expressed verbally, but yet you can
Yeah.
kind of get in touch with them, and you can also
Yeah.
help to encourage others as well through that.
Yes. Yeah.
So your poetic journey started quite young.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
what age did you start to get involved
I,
in poetry?
I guess I was like around 6 or 7 years old.
Mhm.
In my school, I just learned how to make paper, how to recycle paper out of the old newspapers. So I was really excited to do so. So I started making news recycled paper out of newspapers at home, and I really liked it. So then I started adding some sparkles, some designs, some cutouts, and then I started making it in a more mature way that I could be able to write something on it, scribble, and still it's going to be visible. So I
Mhm.
started doing that, and since then I started gifting people like at every occasions, birthdays, anniversaries, Mother's Days. So I started writing little things what I actually feel and which are not so expressible and not found in the regular greeting cards at stores. So I
Mhm.
started those and started giving them out.
Now, when you give them out, let's say it's for a Mother's Day, or it's just for a friend or a birthday or whatever the situation is, do you actually read that aloud to them in addition to giving it to them?
If I can, yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes like when we go to birthday parties, you just like wrap your present and give it. You don't actually open all the presents in front of your friends. At least when I was a kid, we didn't do that. So and in such places, no, but as growing forward, I started reading out to them. Like I would make them center of attention, and I would like, hey, this is for you, and I would just read it. I would have a small piece of paper in which I would have written everything, and just read it out to them, and then they would have the handmade print of their own personal greeting card.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's beautiful. I like that. Will those be in your books by chance? I mean, just like little samples of that?
I have never thought about it actually. Could be, yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, I wanted to create someone, but that's just a lot of process. And with a pile of, I guess, like around 150 pages, I could just make like 10 small, like tiny greeting cards.
Mhm.
So that would be difficult to actually make a print in a book, but those would have been some good samples in the starting.
Yeah, they sound very interesting, and what a kind and beautiful gesture on your part. I'd like to go back, Sakshi, just to a couple things. Um, so, in addition to being able to sort out your emotions in your poetry, things that you feel that are hard to say, as we mentioned, that you'd like to encourage others. Um, it seems to me that um, you're looking for you and for us to be kind of transparent in a sense, to kind of be authentic and truthful to what we're feeling and what we're experiencing. Is
Yes.
that's correct? Okay, and then why do you feel like that's so important?
Because when you move forward in your journey, maybe you can lie to everyone around you, but it's really important to be honest to yourself. If the more you ignore or the more you suspend a feeling, the heavier it's gonna get. Suppose if anyone is sad about a point or angry about a point, and if they don't talk it out, or if they don't talk it out to themselves, it's just gonna start piling up. And once it has reached a limit where it cannot pile up more, you're gonna have anxiety. People are having depressions. People are you need therapists to talk about it. Maybe if you could have just spoken when it actually started to the person, like if I am upset about something with you, I would talk it out and let it go. So once you express your feelings, your heart gets lighter,
Mhm.
and you have more room for other feelings, for other emotions, for other things, your career, your thoughts. You would have more space for that. But if that emotion or baggage just stays there, it could dominate other things in your life rather than making more space.
I love that, and that's great insight. Thank you for sharing that, Sakshi. So it's basically you're really saying to us, let's be in the present moment and let's express really how we feel. So it's
Yeah,
compiling because that's what's going to happen if we don't express it. And best
yeah,
just, kind of be light with it and express it out, be in the moment and just be, kind of be done with it, so to speak. And
yeah.
it's such a big deal.
Yeah, it is actually, because whenever you go to a therapist or someone to talk to you or a counselor regarding anything, he's gonna start ask you, where did it start? You're not gonna say, hey, I was mad at work about this person and I started crying. I didn't know what to do. I didn't eat. I didn't like. Where did this start? Why were you upset? Like, if you're upset at someone initially, you're not going to get so depressed that you're not going to eat, you're not going to talk to anyone. So there would be a point where it all started, and that's what people ask you, that's what doctors ask you when you reach out to them.
Mhm.
So it's the same way.
Right, yes. And then yes, and I think I needed to clarify that it's not a big deal in the moment, but it is a big deal if you keep doing it and keep doing it.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, please.
So, like an example, like I've read this somewhere online. So, if you hold a glass of water in your hand, it's not going to be a big deal, maybe for first 5 minutes or 10 minutes. But you keep holding the glass of water for an hour, for a day, it's going to strain your hand and create a lot of pain on it. So it's the same thing. Little emotions, little feelings can just be a piece of cake, or you could ignore it. You would not even stress on it or think about it after some while. But if you don't release it out of yourself, it's gonna start piling up like the same glass of water you've been holding for hours, and it's gonna pain, which wouldn't make sense in the beginning, but as it piles up, it's just gonna get worse.
Mhm. That's a good analogy. So if we can talk for a moment, Sakshi, about when you get inspired yourself to write. So it's basically emotionally driven. So you may be experiencing something, like you said, it might be something joyful, it might be something a little bit sad. Um, that's what kind of sparks you. You start to feel this emotion, and then you start to go to your pen and paper or the computer, and then you start to write it. Is that the correct part?
Yeah, because whenever I feel something, when I write for myself, so whenever I feel something, it sparks me up. And when I start thinking about it, even extroverts cannot put everything, whatever comes to their mind, because it's easier to feel rather than to say it out. Like, hey, I'm happy. Like, why are you happy? What happened? It's hard to describe every bit of feeling you feel. And I feel in some way it is easier for me to write it down in different ways you could connect to.
Mm-hmm. And are your poems typically long or short? What, just in terms of length, I'm curious what they typically run by.
It depends. I've even written some things which are just like 4 lines. And my longest poem, I think that's my favorite poem, it's about 40 lines. That's my longest one.
Mm-hmm.
But you wouldn't feel like, when you read it or when I read it out to you, you wouldn't feel, oh my God, it's so lengthy. You'll just be going with the flow. It's like describing a story.
Mm-hmm. And then you said you also written things about love and other emotions as well.
You want to hear one about
Sure.
love? I like ready. Okay, so it's hard to find an amazing connection. They'll always stick you with any exemption. They'll always treat you with respect, would never give you a chance to suspect. Will respect your family and dear ones, would never let you deviate from your path, even for an instance. Such an connection is hard to find. Cherish every moment, and it is divine.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, what else would you like to share with us in regard to your poetry section that we haven't quite touched upon yet?
Okay, in my poetry, I usually start writing what I feel, and it need not be everything what I relate to. So the poetry which I just told you about, my longest one, the name is Love Story. The name of the poetry, Love Story. I do like naming some of them if I could. So it's from a boy to a girl, the feelings of a guy to a girl. It's not from the girl to a guy like me. So it's not always about what I personally feel or what I'm personally going through. It's more about how it can relate, how I can relate it, or how I experience it, or how I'm feeling. I'm not sure if that's making sense to you. It's just, go ahead.
Yes, yes, it sounds like you're expanding your viewpoint and also looking at someone else's viewpoint as well. And you're actually writing in certain cases from that perspective.
Yes, exactly. And it's not always from my viewpoint, like the love. I'm just gonna give the reference of the love story again. It's totally something which I have never experienced. It's totally something which which I've never seen or had a conversation about. But something like in the middle of the night, something just comes in your head and you want to write it down and you just go with the flow, with your imagination, with how you feel, and with how I can connect and put it out.
Mhm. I have a question for you, Sakshi. Um, so looking along kind of the broader perspective with your poetry and writing about things on an emotional line that may be hard to express, um, with somebody or in a situation. Has it helped you personally, if you don't mind sharing, like as you've been writing and kind of collecting a body of these poems, do you find yourself that it's a little bit easier to express these emotions as compared to maybe how you were interacting before? Is there a difference that you notice?
Yes, because there are some poetries included in my book which are sad, which I personally wrote when I was upset. And when you're upset or when you're angry, when even you don't understand what you're feeling, so I write it down, and the moment I write it down and I read it to myself, I feel relaxed. I feel like I have let go of that part which was holding me, which was confusing me. So even the poetry which I started with, which I just read, even had things to do with me, because until now I've never been on a digital platform expressing or sharing my work, and this is the first time which I did. So this is what, like, I know, like, I have my poetry ready, I know I have courage, I do not have stage fear, I know I have a loud voice which I can manipulate accordingly, I can read in the way which I want to connect to, but I have never started it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but I could never start it.
Mm-hmm.
So after writing it, I felt a bit relaxed. Like, I felt confident that yes, I can start my work finally. And in that time, I got your email that we could connect online. And I was like, yeah, this is my chance. And sometimes when you let go of your feelings, or you know exactly what you're understanding, you could just find the opportunity, what you're looking for, at the most unexpected times. It happens with everyone. If you just start relaxing and letting everything go, which was you were not sure, which was holding you back, the opportunities are right there. You just need to look correctly for it.
Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful. It actually gave me tingles while you were saying that. I mean, we're so grateful, to have you on this platform. And now that you're expressing that, it really kind of is almost like a double rainbow, so to speak. And I love that. So you're giving us the advice, just to relax and let go, and that the universe is going to orchestrate these opportunities for you. And that's so beautiful, and it's very, very touching for us. And thank you for sharing that.
I'm glad that you were able to relate to, like, when a stranger, I have an Instagram page. So whenever someone messages me or comments on that, hey, I was able to relate to this. And some of the people shared it with me, like, hey, can I share your work with someone? I was like, yeah, go ahead. You're free. Just like, don't take my name out. And you can share it as much as you want it. And people actually messaged me, like, I have a good inbox saying, hey, we were able to relate it. I don't know how did you write it, but this is what I was feeling exactly, and I was not sure if it's okay. Like, your feelings, your emotions are always okay. It's
Mhm.
just every person is not going to understand you the way you do yourself, so it's really important that you're honest.
Mhm.
And honest, it's not just like going and talking to you. Like, when you become my friend in the future, I'm like, hey Leslie, I want to talk, and we discuss, you have a good time, but I need not share everything which comes in my mind. And some things are not even going to make sense to you. Like, what are you talking? And it's just important that you're honest with yourself, and then you are a people person to everyone. That's okay, but honesty is really important.
Yes, that's a great message. Thank you, Sakshi. We still have some few moments before we have to wrap up the show. Your
Mhm.
book sounds so exciting. Can you share a little bit more about that? And let us know what that's going to be all about.
Okay. It's about a journey of emotions. There are some things which you would just feel. It's not gonna hold you, it's not gonna let you go ahead. Like, one of the poetry title is Walking on the Streets of a City. So how do you feel walking on the streets of the city? Would you even think like, okay, I'm feeling this, or I like to see that in the future maybe? So it's just a description how you get along and how you want to view yourself and how you want to view your surroundings later on. There are poems about sunsets, and there's a poem about a pillow. I guess everyone would relate, would have moments with the pillows in the night and for relaxing, different times. So it's just, there are things which you would relate, like some of them are sad, some of them are inspiring, that okay, you're sad, but it's okay, you're not alone. And their friendship is really, really important to me, and family. And of course, there are few really beautiful love poems which I've created, and my masterpiece, Love Story.
Mhm. It's
I'm,
so
I'm
mhm.
yeah, it's really exciting for me. I've done writing. I've actually lost my poetry book, like over 1,000 poems, when my parents shifted our house. So we were in a different place. I wrote everything down in a single book, and when we shifted, I didn't find that book anymore. I was so upset about it. Then finally, I started, I guess, in my bachelor's, I started writing again, starting to maintain of what I've written. So I have taken some really good ones which I wanted to share from that time. I've written some recently. I've written some 2 or 3 days ago. So I've included all the ones which I could think of in that book. There are like around 60 poems. I didn't want it to make it way too long. And it's just a journey. You would feel happy, you would feel that you're not alone when you're sad, you'll feel the friendship. I know. And when I asked some of my friends to proofread it, and when they're reading, I was looking at them and they couldn't stop smiling, and they were like, this is what I exactly feel. And I really liked it.
Mhm. Well, I'm excited about it. And I love all the variety in it, and I love how you have these subjects that we can relate to. And I love this message of authenticity, and also that emotions, whatever you're feeling, you're like, it's okay. And so
It's okay.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
That's
totally normal. Like, even there are some times when your friend you've grew up with is doing much more better than you in your life, because you just made a different choice. You had the guts, the audacity to follow your dream, what your heart was saying, instead of just going with the flow, right? So even that's okay, because you're not alone. When you choose something different, when you choose something which everyone is not following, that means you're choosing yourself over the flow which the society is making you go. And like, you don't always have to become a doctor or an engineer or anything. You can become an artist, you can become a writer, or you can become whatever you want, whatever you feel, like what makes you happy. In the end, it most matters what makes you happy. The society is not going to come and help you out in low times. They're just there to talk. Even if you're doing well, if you're not doing well, even if you're not doing anything, they're going to talk. So just do what makes you happy. There's just one life. It's not gonna come again. And every time, every day, you're getting older. So if you think you want to ride a motorbike, you want to go on a long drive, go on solo trips, just do it. You're not gonna get this time again. And if you have that space, you can manage between your work, between your school. It's really important that you do it and not regret it thinking, I should have just done that at that time. I'm too old for now, or I'm too busy right now.
Yes, thank you, Sakshi. Do you have a ballpark of when your book's going to be out? Like just a projected tentative date?
It should be in January because I'm gonna complete proofreading in this following week. And once it's done, I'm gonna submit it for copywriting, and as soon as I get it back, it should probably be around a month or two. So I'm expecting it to be in January, mid-January.
Okay, great. We still have a few more moments, and what would you like to close the show with? And
I
also,
have one
yes,
Yeah, I have one more poem which I wanted to read it out,
sure.
which I think people would still relate it, but some of them would be like, "Oh, that's just too bold. I don't agree with it," or just that's going out of the norms. People don't do that. We don't do it here. They're gonna be both supporters and controversy, but I still want to let it out because I really feel that one. May I?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's I would go to a church but won't burn a candle. I would rather give it to someone living in darkness. I would go to a mosque with a hijab with the band and but not offer a rug. I would rather give it to a person dealing with nudity. I would go to a temple and not offer any money in the donation box. I would rather feed the people sitting outside the temple starving for days. Idolatry generates and holds the fear in you, while faith makes you stronger and wiser, and it's find inside of you.
That is
So you just
beautiful.
you're saying?
No, that's really beautiful. I like the whole scenario that you set up and then saying what you would do. Would you like to just spend a few moments to kind of elaborate on that?
Yes. In right now, in this 21st century, there are still people who are, instead of having faith and making sure that faith reaches everyone, they are doing business over the places of worships. You understand me? Like, am I making sense?
Yes.
Because people take millions of donations every year. Not every year. In some places, there are millions of donations every day, and those donations are going for their own personal welfare rather than the worship place or celebrating people. I'm not talking about all of them. I've seen some beautiful churches in Ohio, in Texas, in Florida, which actually invest the money in helping out people and helping those in need, and giving money or giving anything which they require, giving scholarship out of the donations. So there are people who are doing the right things with the money or whatever donations, whatever form of donations they're receiving. Even now, there are a few churches around me who are giving every Sundays with food and groceries and clothes and masks and sanitizers with whatever donations they're receiving. There are still some people who are doing good on the name of the good, but there are people who are just collecting all this and not distributing it as it should be. So I'm just saying, I have faith in me. I would go and pray, but I'm not gonna exploit my resources to do something for the people who just want to loot, who just want to steal away. So I would rather go and give it to those institutions who are actually helping, or directly, if I can in any form, I would go and help someone in need. I could. So it's just that.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Sarah. We're going to need to wrap things up. We'd like for you to provide us with some closing comments and then let us know how we can stay connected with you, please.
My Instagram is writings underscore by underscore Sakshi. I'll give it to you so that you can include it later in the description or somewhere. And my Twitter is ssakshi31. So whatever I write, whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to post and I'm trying to be active on these places. As I said, my website is still in construction, and once it's there, I would like to connect with you once I have my book and website, and we can talk more about it, that it could reach out.
Yes,
And
absolutely. Mhm.
you can text me, you can text me on Instagram or Twitter, and I would get back to you definitely. As sometimes you just don't know whom to share your thoughts with, or what to do, or what to talk. And sometimes a stranger is better, because when you talk, you release it, and that person has nothing to do with you, or vice versa. So it's just better to talk to strangers in some points. And if you want to do any dedications to someone, want to let them know how they feel in different ways than you generally do, I would like to write down and give it to you at like minimum cost, so we could talk about it, and you could gift it to them, which I've done so many of these already. And they've come out really beautifully. So I'm even doing that, so just feel free to reach me out for anything, and would love to hear back from you how you feel, what you do, how can I help you if I could, and just let's get better and happier together.
Mhm. Thank you. What a great message. I love that whole collective feeling. Thank you, Sakshi, so much. And absolutely, when you get your website together and your book that's coming out approximately sometime in January, we'd love to have you back and find out all about that and find out where you're at. And we wish you much success with all that you're working on. And thank you again for being our guest poet for today. Thank you, everybody, for watching Poetry and Talk. Please stay connected with us on our poetry page on Facebook, Poetry and Talk. We'll talk soon on the next Poetry and Talk. Until then, stay well and be blessed. Thank you again for watching. Thank you, Sakshi, for being our guest poet. It was delightful. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk soon. Much love.